What do we know about the Epstein files? The words Epstein files have been haunting the Trump administration for weeks as it grapples with a growing crisis stemming from the sex crimes of late convicted pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. Pressure has been growing from President Donald Trump's own supporters and from voices within his own Republican Party for more transparency on what the investigations into Epstein uncovered. Reports have emerged that Trump himself was told in May by his attorney general that his name appeared in files related to the investigations. He was friends with Epstein in the 1990s and early 2000s, and being named is not evidence of any criminal activity, nor has Trump ever been accused of wrongdoing in connection with the Epstein matter. The president said while campaigning for the 2024 election that he would be open to making public more information, but he changed his position earlier this month, saying the case was closed and even criticizing his own supporters who have continued to press him on it. What are the Epstein files? In 2008, Epstein reached a plea deal with prosecutors after the parents of a 14-year-old girl told police in Florida that Epstein had molested their daughter at his Palm Beach home. Photos of girls were found throughout the house, and he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from a minor, for which he was registered as a sex offender and escaped a heavy jail sentence as a result of the deal. 11 years later, he was charged with running a network of underage girls for sex. He died in prison while awaiting trial, and his death was ruled a suicide. These two criminal investigations amassed a vast trove of documents, including transcripts of interviews with victims and witnesses, and items confiscated from raids of his various properties. There was also a separate investigation into his British co-conspirator and ex-girlfriend Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted in 2021 of conspiring with Epstein to traffic girls for sex. Both Epstein and Maxwell were also the subject of civil cases. Watch. It's exhausting. Epstein accuser talks to the BBC about files saga. What has already been released on Epstein? At various stages over the years, some materials have been put into the public domain relating to both Epstein and Maxwell. One batch, in January 2024, contained 1,400 pages of records, including depositions. With both, a trove of documents in the Maxwell case was also made public, in which several high-profile figures were named, but they contained no new revelations about Epstein or his associates. In February this year, weeks after Trump took office, the Department of Justice and the FBI released what they described at the time as the first phase of the declassified Epstein files. A group of right-wing influencers were invited to the White House, but they were left disappointed when they realized that the 341 pages handed to them were mostly material that was already out there. It included flight logs from Epstein's plane and a redacted version of his contacts book, containing the names of famous people he knew. In July, the Department of Justice and FBI said in a memo that no more material would be released. Who is named in the Epstein files? According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump himself is named in unreleased documents that relate to Epstein, and was told as much by Attorney General Pam Bondi in May. The paper noted that being named in the files was not evidence of wrongdoing. The White House gave mixed messages in response. Spokesman Stephen Chung pushed back, calling the story fake, although an unnamed official speaking to Reuters said the administration did not dispute that Trump's name was included. Although the contents of any unreleased documents remain unknown, the existing materials in the public domain mention a number of high-profile figures who were connected to Epstein. Again, this does not imply any wrongdoing by those individuals. Dozens of names were mentioned in a release of court documents in 2024. Prince Andrew, former U.S. President Bill Clinton, and Michael Jackson were among the associates, friends, and alleged victims named in the 900 pages that were unsealed. Both the former U.S. President and the British royal deny any knowledge of Epstein's crimes. Jackson died in 2009. The release of documents related to the case of Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who is serving 20 years in prison for child sex trafficking. Accuser says rollercoaster of Epstein files saga is a real weight on victims. Risky strategy for Trump as he escalates Epstein row with loyal supporters. Is there an Epstein client list? It has been suggested that unreleased Epstein files could contain a so-called client list that might implicate high-profile associates. Besides Maxwell in his criminal operation, in their memo in July, the DOJ and FBI stated that no such list existed. However, conspiracy theories persist. The purported list has sometimes been conflated with the wider Epstein files, and remarks by Bondi have fueled the confusion. The statement by Bondi's Justice Department that there was no client list appeared to contradict her comments earlier in the year. When asked by Fox News interviewer about the rumored list in February, she responded, "It's sitting on my desk right now to review." Bondi's spokesman later clarified that she had been referring to overall files. In the Epstein issue, Getty Images, what do we know about Trump or Epstein relationship? Trump and Epstein appear to have been friends for a number of years, keeping a similar social circle. Previously released files show that Trump's details were in Epstein's so-called Black Book of Contacts. Flight logs also showed Trump flying on Epstein's plane on several occasions. They were pictured together at elite events in the 1990s. And photos recently published by CNN purport to show Epstein in attendance at Trump's wedding to then-wife Marla Maples in 2002. Trump described Epstein as a terrific guy. Epstein would later remark, he was Donald's closest friend for 10 years. According to Trump, they fell out in the early 2000s, 2 years before Epstein was first arrested. By 2008, Trump was saying that he had not been a fan of his. The White House has recently suggested that their fallout was connected to Epstein's behavior, and that the president kicked him out of his club for being a creep. The Washington Post, meanwhile, has suggested that the breakdown in their relationship was due to their rivalry over some real estate in Florida. Why are people so interested in Epstein? Die-hard members of Trump's MAGA movement have long believed officials are hiding key truths about Epstein's life and death. Some of them have theorized that a child molesting cabal has been operating at the highest levels of U.S. society, protected by the state. The theory spread through cryptic messages posted by a pseudonymous character called Q. In one of the conspiracy theories pushed by some MAGA influencers, Epstein was an agent of the Israeli government. Why the Epstein case looms large in MAGA world. There are several unanswered questions about Epstein shared by the wider population too, particularly why he was given such a lenient sentence in Florida, whether he and Maxwell were really acting alone, and how he was allowed to take his own life in prison. Trump and his team hyped up the theories when they were running for office, but now they are in power. They have found themselves unable to convince their supporter base that there are no more questions to answer.